Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This business is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution list. That way you'll know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and what barrel picks they have in the works. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss if environmentalists are coming after the bourbon industry. My name is Katie Joyce, filling in today for Miss Becca Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guest, Darren McRoy.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hello, hello.
Hello. So, yes, we're going to have a fun show today. We're going to be talking about bourbon, or just environmentalists, and are they going after the bourbon industry? And it's not anything I ever thought of before. Then I saw this article, and clearly they had some questions about the bourbon industry, and even the title of it, which we'll talk about after the break, was very interesting indeed. We'll get to that very soon, but for right now, Katie said there's something she wanted to talk about. What is that, Katie?
Yes. So I would like to know if anyone else has horrible inconsistency in their organization of their life. So would you consider yourself to be like an organized person, a disorganized person? And is there any consistency in that at all? So okay. That's the question.
Okay. I am disorganized person by nature. I have a million things going on. And, like I stopped in the shop today. One of the goals was to look at the calendar because I'll have to talk to Darren about that. Remind me, Darren, now I got to talk to you about that. I forgot to do that while I was in there today. Because I'm not that organized, and I'm forced in a role as a small business owner of multiple small businesses to be organized. Mm-hmm. If I had a staff of 20 people, I wouldn't have to rely on myself so much, but I do, and I don't know that I do a great job of it because I am just in general a disorganized person. And I mean, Darren's seen some of this. Hey, we got a barrel pick this on Saturday. No, we don't.
It's changed 3 times.
Yeah, it's changed 3 times because I'm not I'm an idea guy. I'm good at writing things. I'm not good at. Another thing I'm not good at is like reviewing my own work. And again, I'm stuck doing that. So it's just like I'm good at getting thoughts out there. But in terms of organizing those and being very good, I'm definitely a person who should have keepers, but I don't. So other people get to see behind there when I mess things up. So yes, not so good with that stuff. Darren, how about you? Are you an organized person by nature?
I would say I'm an organized chaos person. So
okay,
I know everything that's going on for the most part. I'll let a few things slip from now and then, but I like it to be spread out, not all in one place. I understand my order of things, and I keep my house a certain way. I don't keep it pristine. I don't like pristine. That's too easy. I like it a little bit harder for life.
Yes. Yeah. That being said, I recently organized my garage, and man, I'm pretty happy with that. I just finished that project today, so
it's such a good feeling.
It is. So,
and my whiskey isn't organized by type; it's just
on the shelf or something.
I enjoy that.
Oh, me too. I don't like it that organized. I just like it to be there. Yeah. Yeah. So, Katie, what do you think about this? So, the warden was supposed to help me organize the garage, the final part. So we had done half, and then the other half was being done today. She had a migraine, kind of like Wes, who was supposed to be here today. And she's like, I'm gonna have to lay down. I may help you later. Well, I get out there and I do it all by myself and get it all done. And then I go back inside, and she's still sleeping. And I said, but she wakes up, and I said, "Oh, I finished the garage." She's like, "You wore a white shirt to organize the garage. How dumb are you?" I mean, you would think it'd be like, "Thank you. Let me see what you've done." Anything but telling me how dumb I am because I wore a white shirt to organize the garage.
I logically, I have to side with you here. And
You're right.
who cares about a shirt when you just
Right.
However, I am absolutely that person who would wake up and make that statement of how dumb are you to wear that shirt? Just
I was filthy. I get it. I mean, it was hot outside, so I was sweating. So that makes the dirt, it's worse than even because it's getting on you. But I mean, damn it, I was out there working hard by myself, and we were supposed to be something we were working on together. I did it all. She was able to sleep it out where she missed all of it. I would think I'd have been happy if she'd have done the whole thing. Yeah.
I'm definitely the person in the moment who would have made that exact same statement. So, but once the logical side of my brain would set in later on, when I processed it, I'd be like, you know what? There were bigger things to focus on in that moment that my brain should have gone to first. I just like to say I recognize that for what it's worth.
Yeah. So, okay.
I was just yesterday, we were at a concert. Trace Adkins was out at Cedar Lake Cellars Winery out here in Wright City, which was pretty cool. And so I had gotten a can of Diet Coke, and we had a mixed drink. We had the salt ice in it, and I drank that down. And I was going to pour the Diet Coke inside over ice, and I had handed the extra cup to my boyfriend John as I was getting food. And next thing I look back and the cups are gone. I go, "Did you throw those cups away?" And he's like, "Yes, I threw the empty plastic cup away." And I was like, "I was going to use that to put the Coke in," as if like he should have read my mind and known that we were saving what is very logically, arguably trash. That he's like, "I'm sorry for throwing the trash away." And so, yeah, that's what. Okay. My mom was standing right there, and she was like, "Wow, Katie, wow." I had it all planned out in my head, and it was going to work out beautifully. I had this little cup that was ready to go, and now it's in the trash can.
All right. Well, Katie, you asked the question about organization. Are you an organized person?
So I am of both extremes. So my brain prefers organization. However, I'm a perfectionist procrastinator. So I'm very much a procrastinator. So many things in my life end up unorganized, especially because I have a lot going on, running a business, all the other things I get myself involved in on various boards, volunteer efforts, etc., whatever. But when I actually focus on something for a moment, I get it organized to a ridiculous degree. So like all of my whiskey is organized by type of whiskey and in alphabetical order. So I have the shelf. So I have the shelf of bourbons and the shelf of non-bourbon. So the ryes.
If you buy one bottle, you got to.
And then there's it's multiple shelves of bourbons is one section. And then I have the section of like the single barrel selects and so like the specialty bottles. And then I have the section of the like lower shelf, anything I would be like have like flavoring added in. Now once you get to lower section, they're no longer in alphabetical order. That's when they're allowed to just be in a mismatch. It bothers me a little bit, but we go with it. But everything else is in pure alphabetical order by title of the name of it. And so, but then the problem is that now I put myself, if I don't have the time to go put it back in, and when I add more bottles, I have to make sure I've left room on the shelves that I end up sitting on the floor.
This is stressing me out just talking about it.
So then I get whiskey sitting on the floor until I can spend the time to put everything back where it goes. So I have created a system that I have to keep up with. But when it's in place, it's wonderful because if I know what I'm looking for, I can just go look and boom, 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 find it. It's beautiful. And so That's
That sounds
the
horrible.
side of it.
So, say you've got everything organized, you just finish it up, and I come over with because you're finishing things, making things look good for a party, and a group of us come over, and I say, "This is a gift for having the party, Katie. It's a Calumet Farm." Now that's gonna be early on in the alphabet, but it's gonna mean you have to move however many bottles.
I leave spacing when I have it all organized. So I have left spacing in the organization to have bottles added in. So at most I'll have to move one row. So
So what we need to do in that situation is everyone at the party brings something that starts with C.
oh my
It's
gosh,
really
and you
messed
totally
things
screw
up.
my entire system.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you
Yeah.
would.
Yeah, we bust the system then. We could break this thing. Yeah, it would be great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Katie's
Do
just
they go at
stressed out the
beginning
rest of the party.
alphabet or the
Yeah.
end?
What was the question?
Where would you put that?
The numbers go first before the letters. Yeah.
As they should. As they
Mhm.
should.
But then the other side of my organization is, as I was getting set up to record the podcast tonight, I reached into my briefcase to pull out my laptop charger, and I found half a eaten bar of fudge that my assistant brought me back from Mackinac Island.
Oh, Mackinac Island fudge. It's the best
So,
fudge in the world, right? So
That's
good
apparently
stuff.
where I keep fudge now, is in my
Yeah.
briefcase.
Oh.
So that's
Glad you didn't leave it
Where
on
else
your
I'll keep
car. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be bad. Yeah.
when I got the whiskey out, I'm like, oh, I've got like 10 bottles sitting on the floor right now. Tonight, I'm really going to need to put everything back where it goes. And then I reached into my briefcase and I was like, those 10 bottles are looking a lot better than the briefcase fudge. So here we go.
Yeah.
We're still good.
Nice. On that note, we drink. What is everyone drinking? I'll go first. I've got Jack Daniel's 27, old number 27, gold. This is the gold. This is it's in a maple wood barrel, not maple finish or anything like that. The wood is from a maple tree, and that the barrel is. So here we go. Cork pop. Oh, nice enough. Not great, but we'll see what happens. Darren, what do you got?
I got my favorite thing to ever come in an Elmer T. Lee bottle, Art of the Spirits barrel pick that's currently at the ABV Barrel Shop.
Okay. Nothing there. All right. Katie, what do you got? It's between me and you.
I have Willet rye small
Okay.
batch. It's just came in my TSR quarterly subscription box.
Oh, nice.
It arrived.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yep.
That was good.
I didn't even change the settings on my microphone. I kept it
Well,
at,
you knew. Well, I didn't throw much out there, and I was the lead. So you actually, to be honest, you had it pretty easy there. So
Yeah, I mailed mine in too because I knew that it was coming next, and so I was like, I just
yeah.
got to mail it in this time.
we'll
Yeah.
nail it in for sure. Cheers, gang. All right. We will take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking about this article that questions whether the bourbon industry is at the end of its days. We'll do that in just a few. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only sells single barrels. Owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot select. With over 100 distilleries on board to sell us barrels, we are home to the most unique and diverse barrel pick selections in the bourbon world. By signing up for our email, you will always know what we have in stock. In addition to the single barrels, we'll have a gift shop featuring ABV Barrel Shop as well as ABV Network merchandise. We are partnering with vendors like Art Eatables and Old Man Bay Signs to bring you unique items you can't find anywhere else. We will also have a 24-seat classroom where we are offering educational and fun classes like Breakfast and Bourbon, a series where we pair donuts and bourbon, customer barrel picks, and opportunities to learn from master distillers and other bourbon dignitaries. Best of all, we feature a tasting bar where you can try before you buy. All of this is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. If you are in the St. Louis area, please stop by to say hi. If you're traveling in from outside the area, please take advantage of our hotel rates with the Drury Inn and Pear Tree Inn, less than a mile from our shop. This can be done via the links in our Visit St. Louis section on our website. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to plan your trip. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my executive bourbon steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about the Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent trips to Kentucky. Today, he is amongst the leaders of young distillers leaving their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery yields insight on their unique family history, why their products are special, and gives you the opportunity to taste their whiskey, moonshine, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com or visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
This is also Freddie Mills going underneath the alias of Danny Kennard. You can find me on Facebook at any time. Just look up Danny Kennard, but I am Freddie Mills. Trust me.
And welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today on the show, we are discussing if environmentalists are coming after the bourbon industry.
Yes, we are. So Inhabitat website, Inhabitat, I don't know. That's the name of the website. Author Casey Morgan. And she put together an article titled, "Is the Bourbon Industry Potentially Hitting Its Last Days?" Kind of an environmentalist look at the world of bourbon. Main focus, of course, being that white oak. And she claims that her stats in the article were at that the white oak could be gone, it could be extinct for use in barrels within a generation. So within a generation is typically 20 years, right? Is that the standard by which we measure a generation? So I don't know if that's it, or let's just say within our lifetime. And we'll say Darren's lifetime because he's a younger guy, the youngest one on the show. Still, that's not much. That's not much to look at. And then it kind of gets into some of the other things, glass and resources and all the things that are waste in the industry, and paints a bad picture. And it's just a different take than I've heard. But it's interesting to see people who have opposing different views and what their thoughts on something are, like the bourbon industry. So what do you guys think about that article?
I dislike the article. So
me too. I didn't like the article either. I don't want the bourbon industry to go away.
I have written down on this piece of paper. So technical degree is in basically environmental education.
Right.
And so first off, just from how the article is written, it's leading you to a lot of trapping thoughts, and if you drink a cup of bourbon, you're killing off the world, which is not necessarily true at all. And it only highlights, like there was highlighted words every so often, and that was only big issue environmental topics, like CO2 release would be highlighted, and then nothing else is highlighted. But those are highlighted. Why you highlight something is to get somebody's attention, to have them read
like
it.
How I write my quick bourbon notes.
Through.
She probably is a reader of quick bourbon notes. How I highlight the power words in the short articles I do. Yeah.
And then she'll have like several paragraphs where she talks about the good things distillers are doing. Nothing's highlighted. And then another problem. Oh, this where it's highlighted again.
Right.
And even like the article is leading you to a doomsday. The name of the article is leading you towards a doomsday thing. This is the end. Pack your bags or go home. Where good environmental education, you offer up a problem that's happening, and then you give a solution.
Yeah.
Several solutions, and you go back and forth, and you try and keep a positive tone, because once you start doing all this doomsday thing, people shut down and no longer listen. So just from that standpoint, it's wrong.
Just a bad article. Okay.
And then they didn't back up any of the science, like about the trees. Sure, they could be gone in a generation, but that's they didn't say if it's accounting for natural growth rates and natural reproduction rates plus whatever people are planting and other stuff like that. It didn't go into any detail about what forestry information they're using, because you can talk to several different people and they'll be like, Well, if you
I
include the
know,
replacement,
and I've
it's still
heard
fine.
I've heard that the mixed reviews of that, where I've talked to
Yeah.
people who are in forestry for barrels, for independent stave, that type of thing, that said we got plenty of oak. What we don't have is enough cooperage, enough people that are making barrels, and I get that too. So I don't really know what the answer is. I'm not involved enough in that. I'm real interested on Katie's take on this, because I don't know that there's anybody more environmentally aware than Katie on the ABV Network crew. She's certainly one who speaks out on environmental issues on these shows. So I'd be interested in her take on this. And there's certainly, I want to be clear too, that while it's not a huge thing in the industry, there are some certain companies that seem dedicated to it, like Maker's Mark and Diageo. They're the new one that's coming for Jefferson's is very environmental conscious. A lot of things that they're doing. There's trying to get to little to no carbon waste and things like that. But in general, I think the industry is pretty old fashioned with how it does things, and not real great environmentally. But Katie, as you read this, what were your thoughts on this article?
Well, so I think there naturally was a lot of the just attention grabbing titles, etc., in there that could have been cut out, but that's just because I naturally am interested in the topic. I understand they needed those in there just to get readers coming in. But I do appreciate that they talk to Maker's Mark, because I think that's a large company that's actually doing some really great things in reusing, reducing, recycling, in water preservation, and the other aspects of livestock and other things are including in their entire operations as well. And so I was happy that they talked to them specifically rather than some of the other big companies that they could have interviewed. But all the questions that they brought forth are the things that I naturally see in our whiskey industry that I'm like, that's a bunch of use. Like, I love my whiskey, but sometimes I do feel kind of bad about how much we're just using, and that we're not taking a look at maybe some of the different ways that we could be using technology to still be making really good whiskey, but considerably cutting down on our use. And I've mentioned it before, but Arcane Distilling in New York, are now shut down, but when they were open, they were making whiskey in a completely different way, and they had this process they had created that cut down on so much use in a vacuum system, and so much of the process of what they were doing made it that they were using less material and were just kind of rethinking the entire way that we're making whiskey. And the important part of it, though, is that the whiskey at the end was incredible. And so the fact of just the one way that they were doing it, if some of our other major brands would just look at that and put some of their resources towards kind of spinning this on its head. Now, I think we're really limited in the fact that we have the very strict rules of it has to be a new oak barrel. It has to be. So we have the rules there in place that are going to prevent some of that ingenuity. What they had in the article of what if we run out of trees? Well, honestly, if we do, they'll find a way to change the rules then. Like, whiskey is not going to stop. Right. We know it's not going to stop. We know bourbon's not going to stop. Worst case scenario, they would find a way to change the laws of what's required if we don't have those resources anymore. Naturally, that would be horrible. We always want those resources to be there. And I don't see that actually happening. And I also don't see, practically speaking, I don't see anything changing that's going to limit the whiskey industry, just because we have so much cultural support in this industry and there's so much money in it that will prevent anybody.
That's what I think, Katie. I think money is always, for any issue, you follow the money, and there's just too much at stake here. Like why wouldn't all the cooperages overplant and get more? Because at the end of the day, they have a resource then. So it's going to take X amount of years to grow up, and they have to, plan for growth. And even if it ends up being, whoa, the growth isn't what we thought it was going to be, we've got all this extra oak. There's plenty of other uses for that oak besides making whiskey barrels. So that's the thing where
we have more to choose from to get the most ideal trees. Oh darn!
Right. Yeah. So I just would assume that I take the barrel industry for their word, and that there's plenty of oak and there's plenty of replanting and all that kind of going on, because it makes sense for them to do so. Just to harvest it all and then it's gone doesn't make any sense for anybody involved, in them in particular. So, yeah.
And the whiskey industry isn't who's cutting down trees. It is trained foresters that know what taking down each tree will do to the environment, how it will affect, how long it will take to replace. They might demand more, but that doesn't mean that the foresters and the arborists have to cut down more. It's just not how that works.
Which is
they understand their
a good point. Which is a very good point. Like if I had land, I don't, but if I had land and I thought, man, I've got a bunch of white oak on here, I would like to bring someone in from, I'd like to help out the bourbon industry. I'd like to call independent stave. So what they would do, and I know people that have done this, they will send out forestry people that'll do exactly what Darren just said. They don't come in and just clear cut it. They were like, okay, you remove this one, and this one, and actually you're going to have a much stronger, healthier forest here. And that's how you do this. They don't. And again, if you're clearing land to build a shopping mall, well, sure, then you're cutting down everything. But for the most part,
none of that goes to timber anyway. That
exactly.
is all usually just slashed and burned. So,
yeah, well, they could potentially if there was some really good growth on there. I would assume they would get that. But
sometimes that people want their buildings built quicker, so they pay to not harvest them correctly. So.
Probably. But I didn't like this article, but it's something I want to watch out for. I hadn't seen anything like this before. I thought it was one thing. I'll give credit to the author. It was unique. I hadn't anybody said, claiming or putting a statement out there so bold as the bourbon industry potentially hitting its last days. I thought that was they grabbed my attention for sure. Yeah,
it did.
See, that's a trick people use in environmental education, though. They say something really bold. Or hope that you don't look into it enough to know that they might not be right. It is a common tactic.
Yeah. So
I think, though, in the whiskey industry, the way that I think as well that many people talk about in the whiskey industry that everyone's so welcoming, and once you find someone who's also interested in whiskey, you found a friend instantly. I think the same way in that it's a group of people, and especially in the distilling and whiskey ownership side of it, that care about the next generation. And so especially we have these large companies who have been generation to generation, and those are the part of it as well that I think we grasp onto as the consumers as, what did their second great grandpa do in the whiskey creation that now this family has done. And I think that preserving part of it in the environment as well for the next generations is just part of that. And so I do think it's a community that can get behind doing it correctly so that we're not causing unneeded waste, and that we're doing things in ways of like recycled bottles. It's a pretty simple thing of use recycled bottles and encourage glass recycling where we can. And that even just in the cork usage, or those little things like that I think are simple enough that I think it's an industry that supports that it's going to make the industry stronger for our next generation. Yeah,
for sure. All right. On that note, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Darren, we're going to start with you. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at The Bourbon Adventures. Also, 5 days a week at the ABV Barrel Shop.
All right, Katie.
You can find me concerned about environmentalist things as I fly my airplane around in circles, focusing on the balance of life, and also over on Instagram at Katie Proof.
All right. For me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got that company website, that thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out. Everything that we do is out there. We put all of our previous shows. Quick Bourbon Notes came up today. That's out there. You can sign up to get that publication. Comes out every Friday, 3 quick bourbon stories. So check us out at abvnetwork.com. Come by and see us. Darren mentioned he's there 5 days a week. We're open 7 days a week. So anytime you're in the St. Louis area, stop by and see us. Check us out online at abvbarrelshop.com. Katie, anything else to say before we get out of here?
Well, yes, I would like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the network.
Great job today, gang. For artists, we're going to have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Please, at the end of the show, please recycle this one. See ya. I don't know what that means. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with the national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.